those who are suffering from burnout. And then with Truly Balanced Wellness Care, we're helping those who are looking to get rid of unwanted weight and also to get rid of their stress that's causing the weight to pile on. I am excited about the journey that I've been on. Some of you guys have been following me along for a couple years, and you'll be able to hear the story and my joy being with Dr. Magda, and also perseverance. And my story is all about the persistence, and that's what I talked about in the book, the power of persistence.
Thank you for that introduction, which is so important for all that you've done and for all the listeners that are watching as well. So next we have Dr. Valerie. Can tell us a little intro about yourself?
Hi, yes, I'm Dr. Valerie Mukanga. I'm the CEO and owner of Healing Wings Dental here in the big Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and precisely in Arlington, Texas. And I am a general dentist, and we've been in business since 2016, and our aim is to help people maintain and also regain their oral health and their smile so they can soar in life.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Dr. Tolu Olabinton. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center in the beautiful city of Mansfield, Texas, not too far from Dallas, where I enjoy helping people live long and well. So essentially they can fill out their God-given purposes. Now, in regards to the book was a little bit of an excerpt on what's possible with community, what's possible with knowing your calling, and then deciding to doing it afraid. So that's really, it's a short excerpt because obviously we're all co-authors, but I was able to share there is just the journey from being scared and knowing that this is something I'm called to do, and then getting the support needed and running with the vision. That's essentially what I talked about briefly in the book.
Oh, that's so important. Like doing it scared, right? Everyone, yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to delve into your chapter as well. I'll introduce myself as well again for all the other people in the audience that are listening today. I'm Dr. Magda Majette. I'm a family physician. I'm a public speaker, and I'm a bringer of joy. And I'm the leader of the Embracing Joy podcast. And I'm so excited to be here with you all today. And my chapter of the book is how we can learn to find more joy where we are, because it's there, and it's something that we need to embrace more as physicians, as professionals. We see that there's a constant pursuit of joy. We think we can get it at the next level, but it's something that we need to be intentional about cultivating within our everyday lives, and something we need to do every day. So that's a little bit about my chapter, but I have some questions for everyone about the book. So the first question, whoever feels compelled to answer, I guess you can just answer if you feel more compelled. What really inspired you to contribute your story to the book?
Or who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I always like to go first, so that way there's no pressure. It was twofold. I'll be honest with you, because we're keeping it real. And one of the things I love about the powerful women in this group, is we're big on sharing our stories, our insecurities, our humanness, to let people know that this is not a two-headed thing. We all have one head too. We have the challenges, but we do things anyway. So it's supposed to be an encouragement. So for me, first was, I've always known I should write a book. I've been like, yeah, I want to write a book. And here was an opportunity to write a book easily. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And then the second thing was, as I said earlier, is to share what's possible. One of the things I've loved about my mentors and people who have inspired me is their openness in sharing the struggles in the journey. They've normalized it. And so in sharing my story, I let you know that even with my background, even with some of the things that I thought were not possible, I'm here. So it's a possibility for the reader, who's thinking, well, good for them. That must be their fate, or that they must have some kind of special juice. Well, my story is telling you, like, oh, yes, I've partnered with God and people, but
Mm,
I can do things just like you can. And so the inspiration is encouraging others the same way I've been encouraged and inspired to live out my purpose. And so that's why the book was like, yeah, let's do this.
mm.
Yeah.
I want to go second.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it looks like I forgot to talk about even my insert, but mine is shine your light. And
Mm,
many times we feel like we don't have a story to share. I remember talking to, at the time, she was one of my coach, financial coach, Dr. Clarice May, and she was telling me everybody has a story worth writing about. And I said, well, what would I write about? I don't think so. And so, and she gave me some good pointers. For example, you're a foreigner having come to the US, you made it to becoming a doctor. That's a story in itself. And so that kind of like started making me think about, oh, I actually do have a story. And when I saw Made for More, the first version, I was like, I would love to write in this book. So I would have wished that I could have written in this book, but I wasn't even a part of the school just yet. So when the opportunity presented, I knew for a fact that it was for me to take my a bold step in writing about this, my story. I too have something that I overcame, and that can also be an inspiration for people. So that's the reason why I wanted to write. Just number one, to inspire someone, but also um, to make myself understand that bold step, that actually I have something to give as well,
Right.
and affirm myself that I'm able to do it, in fact.
Mhm.
I love it. Alrighty, so I'll go third. So Magda, we're gonna leave you to have to come up with the fourth.
I know you guys took all the words already. No, just kidding.
I love it. So, when we really think about what we've even just said today, like Dr. Tolu is saying, like she's been able to build something, and she wanted to inspire others to build. Dr. Valerie was saying that everyone has a story, and she wanted to inspire. Now, my part in the book was the power of persistence, where things will not always work out the way you want it to, but with the power of persistence you can still get to that dream. And that's what really, when I look at my life and my story through entrepreneurship, I wanted to embellish on that so that others can see. You have in your mind what you want it to look like, but the journey to that next step might not always be what you have envisioned, but it's going to still be something great. It's going to still be something powerful because there's so much along the way that you have changed, you have developed, you've become this better version of yourself. And the only way you can get there is through the power of persistence. And so that's the story that I wanted to use to encourage others who might have gotten over the fear of starting. So they've
Mhm.
started, but then now they want to give up because it seems as if, well, it's not working out. Well, like EBS, we always know what it's always working. That's part of our motto. But in order to get to the other side, you really need to use that power of persistence. And so I had to find back that person in me who that was that same person that did the power of persistence to get into medical school when it didn't look like you were going to make it, the power of persistence to get through school when there were times when it didn't appear that it'll happen. It's that same power of persistence to get to this vision that you have of this life that I want to live. And it doesn't have to end with the fact that the first two, three things that I wanted to do didn't work out the way that I wanted it, right?
Mhm.
Am I going to stop, or am I going to continue using this power of persistence to create and to be able to live this life that I envision for myself? So mine was a form of encouragement and motivation to keep going for those who want to stop.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so important. Thank you for sharing that, Tamara. That power of persistence, because, and also not discrediting what you've been able to go through before, because sometimes we get through things and then you forget, you just don't think about it. You're like, well, I can't do this thing, but you forget there was a time that there was a time where I had challenge in medical school and I was able to get through it. So if I have a challenge now, why would I not be able to get through it? And just continuing on and so forth, or in college or in life in a different way, you know, that power of moving forward. So thank you for sharing that. So for me, what inspired me was several things. So I did see the Made for More initial book, and I read that, and I wanted to contribute my story as well. And if the opportunity presented itself, like Dr. Valerie, I also wanted the opportunity. I've wanted to write a book. I've had, you know, experiences in life that I've wanted to share, and I'm like, oh, this could be a book. This is too much, right? You have things that happen in your life. You're like, well, you know, I don't want my journey to be in vain, right? So I know that other people can learn a lot from my journey, and I have been able to go through a lot of challenging things, difficult things, with a sense of joy in life, and I've had times where I may have lost it at times, or have presented a joyful place, presented myself as joyful and smiling, but underneath it I've had some dark times, but I've been able to not let my inner feelings affect how others have viewed me, because I've always been a sense of I've always been someone who brings joy into the room, or lights up a room and has a big smile. And I know there's a lot of people like that in the world, that they may not be feeling that way inside, but they bring that to others, right?
Yes.
Because that's something that they may want for themselves. So in that sense, I've learned to find that and keep it for myself. So now I just feel like I'm just this, you know, I just feel great, you know. So with that, with what I've learned in life and with what I've been through, I have been able to just tap into that. And also with improv comedy and medicine, and being able to blend the two, and just live that life on my terms with all of you all. I want to share that part of the story. The main thing is, you know, that you can have joy, right? And it's something that is waiting for you to just embrace. And you just have to be intentional about it and think about what things bring you joy for yourself. And it's not what brings joy to someone else. It's something that's uniquely yours. So that's what I wanted to contribute to the book. That kind of inspired me, and that inspired me to start the podcast. So I wanted to contribute that to the book, because a lot of professionals, we get in our professional white coats, we get older, and then all of a sudden it's stern face, you know, you know, especially when you're a physician, you feel like you have to be a certain way. You feel like you have to put on a mask, right? So you have to be a certain way. You have to be serious. You have to be a certain way. But we are not all that way, and it's sometimes impossible to fit in that way and still maintain your sense of self. So I would like to spread that message that you can be yourself, and you can find joy and embrace it in any stage. So that was a long answer, but let's go to
You did have something to say.
Yeah, I did have a lot to say here. So let's go to, I have a few more questions. So let's talk about let's talk about a defining moment. Can one of you share a defining moment that pushed you towards starting your own business? I think I would like Dr. Tolu to answer this one. Like, if you had any type of defining moment that said, all right, I'm just going to start my own business now.
So if I'm being honest, starting a practice was never something like I thought, oh yeah, that's something I wanted to do. But I remember two occasions. So the first was I had talked to a patient, and I was trying to kind of encourage him as far as lifestyle. He was sent to me as a last resort. And in conversation, he said to me, like, what's your problem? We all die someday. So
Mm.
what's with you? Like, why do you care so much? And so, I mean, I paused and I said, and I asked him if there was a future he was looking forward to. So yeah, he wanted to buy a car, he wanted to do things. So I said, okay, so there's a future you're looking forward to. So there is a way to die. And so we have the gift of science, we have the gift of the word of God. So there are things that teaches us how to live long and well from our standpoint. There's some things we can't control. And so I remember that there was something stirred in me. Like, I want to help people live well for that future they want.
Mm.
Mm.
So that was one. And then secondly, COVID hit. I had a few people, close people I knew who died. And looking back at the legacy they left and how hard they pursued or not pursued some of the things I thought based on conversations were desires in their heart. I was like, so when do I start? And so
Mhm.
it was a Bible verse, do it afraid. David was saying, Lord, even when I'm afraid, I'll trust you. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have to not be afraid to do what I'm supposed to do. So
Mm.
that became a different type of fear. Like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'll do it in spite of the fear. And so those were two things that kind of were like, it's hard for me to forget, and they happen one behind each other. Yes.
Wow, that's powerful, Tolu.
Thank you. Very defining. I have to say,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want us to all go, Magda?
If you feel compelled to answer this one, you can, or I can. We can go to the next question if you
Okay,
want.
what let's see. I don't know if Valerie wants to also answer. I'll let her.
I can answer.
Mhm.
Um, what prompted me to open my own practice was the fact that I was working for other companies and I always felt rushed. I always felt like, you know, they were watching or dictating what they wanted us to accomplish. You know, in some instances, they would even educate the staff as far as, if you see this, the doctor should do that. And at the end of the day, like, that's my license, it is my diagnosis, it is my treatment, how, I want to treat the people. And because it was also such a rush environment, I could never really take time to build a true rapport, with my patients. And because it was just like, going from one room to another, to another, to another, or seeing one family to another, to another. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to open my own practice at the time that I did. Because when I first got into it, somehow I knew that I would open my own. It was always a thing, but once I got in it, it's almost like I became comfortable, and it's almost as I had to be, just pushed to, put, like you pushed in a in a swimming pool and you have to start swimming, and so that's kind of like what happened to me. And here in my own practice, I can take time, I can slow down when I need to slow down. Say, for example, and in dentistry, lots and lots of people are very anxious, and so
Mhm.
you have time to kind of like relate to them and make them feel at peace. Sometimes, you would see that the patient, it would be best for them for you to do as much as you can so that they have less appointment. But for somebody else, maybe you need to just treat that one tooth, or maybe just have that conversation and they come back. And, being in your own practice, you're able to do that. You're able to listen to your inner core and decide, okay, this is what is best for this patient at this time. Whereby, if you do it in another environment, they're looking at you. And I didn't want my patient to feel like they were just a number, because they're not. It's a whole person. So that's what inspired me to actually open when I did.
I love
Wow.
it. The whole person.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that you were able to practice on your terms with your practice.
Mhm.
Definitely. So, let me ask about this mindset shift for Dr. Beckford, because your book was about persistence. So, what was one key mindset shift that helped you on your entrepreneurial journey?
There's so many mindset shifts that occurred. once you step into this realm, I'll say one key mindset shift that is currently still happening is that there's no one way to get to the results that you want. Um, we have been trained and inculcated, especially in medicine, to think about if you want to achieve certain things, there is the algorithm, and therefore you use this algorithm to get to the results or to the diagnoses. Um, and also, you're trained to think inside the box in medicine. If you vary too far out, then you get labeled a rebel, or there's so many infractions that will occur. And of course, at one point, for certain things, it's okay. And it makes sense because, yes, we are working on humans, and, yes, we are doing things in order to try to better our patients. But in entrepreneurship, one of the biggest mindset I had to learn is just to sit and think outside of the box.
Mhm.
The results that you can get for the the practice that you're having, the business that you're starting, the journey that you're putting yourself upon does not have to fit in the box of somebody else's version of it. And it's something that I'm still learning because most of us, including myself, we're great students. And being
Mhm.
great students means that you follow rules. And being that you
Mm-hmm.
follow rules, you try to get to the top because you are the best rule follower.
Mhm.
I even still make fun of, I had the best handwriting in the fourth grade. Like, I'm no longer in the fourth grade. But even just that, I prided myself when my teacher told me that. But that's how we think as doctors. Like, oh, did you ever tell you that I was the best at this? Now we're
Mhm.
in entrepreneurship, and we're asked to think outside the box, and we're like, well, please tell me how to think outside the box. Which box do you want me to go into so I can think outside of? And that's
Mhm.
not what happens with entrepreneurship. So the freedom that it provides is one of the things that I'm learning to embrace. um, it's a it's a world that it taps into the imagination that I have within myself, plus the compassion that I have for what it is that I do and for the legacy that I want to leave on this earth. So being able to combine all of those with like what Dr. Tolu and Dr. Valerie says, by doing it afraid anyway, and just let the results be the results, but just keep going full force. Not being like that bird that's in the cage when the cage doors open, but you're afraid to just step out because you've only confined yourself to just being in that cage. So biggest mindset right now is the freedom that it allows me, and to take advantage of that freedom. So that's what.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a big transition to go from,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I have a step-by-step guide, I'm gonna follow it, and I do well when you follow the guide versus, it's limitless. The world is your oyster. Let me see what I can do. So in that case, I think mentorship comes into play, right? As far as the entrepreneurial journey, or moving into thinking outside of the box. Can you tell us kind of what role mentorship has played for you in that journey, and then also um, in becoming more persistent, as far as your book, your chapter in the book as well?
For me?
Hmm. Or
Oh,
anyone, you just answer, so we can
Hey,
do
okay.
anyone.
Dr. Tamara, yes,
I
you.
don't want to. You can do
Dr.
anyone,
Tolu.
then, or me
By the way,
myself.
you guys, I'll always tell everyone. So Dr. Tolu and I went to medical school together. So we've known each other since our
I
early
see.
20s. So if
Mhm.
you see, so we went to med school together. So if you see us cutting up, that's why. we watched each other grow.
Yeah.
But go ahead,
So,
Doc. I think Dr. Tolu, I'm gonna pass
Dr.
this one
Tolu, okay.
to you.
Okay, the role
Oh,
of the role of mentorship in your
ooh.
entrepreneurial journey or getting into.
So, it's so interesting. My daughter was saying this earlier today to my husband, and it's something I've said to her over and over again. You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go with people. Um, Mentoring helps with shortcuts. Mentoring helps you not to replicate mistakes. Mentorship helps with seeing your blind side. It is wisdom to have somebody you're looking up to help you. Are they perfect people? No. But I got to tell you, in community of people, entrepreneurs, in a mentoring program that I'm in, EBS is one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can see how subconscious accountability helps keep me aligned. Like, you know, you pick bad habits when you hang with the wrong people, but you pick good habits. Now, I'm not saying you just sit there and soak it in by osmosis. There's work to be done, but it's easier when you see people do it. I got to say, the physician community, when I look on Facebook and sometimes I have to say, show me less of this and debate. Do I stay out? Do I stay in? Because it's so depressing, some of the mindset issues. I'm not saying they're not things that are hard, but as Dr. Tamari was saying, when you think outside the box, you allow yourself to allow your creative juices to flow. Where you start thinking there is a way, is a question of how, when, who do I talk to? And as you think that way, life is not as hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, but it's not as hard
Yes.
because your mindset is shifted. It's more, okay, this is hard. Who's done this before I need to ask help from? What are the ways? If these are the new laws,
Mm-hmm.
how do I adjust my systems to accommodate so that I'm still paid, my team members are still paid, even with the shifts? And so that's what mentorship does. And one of the things I found that
Mm-hmm.
is in allowing for mentorship in every area of my life, I have grown. I have grown in ways that is when I take stock, I'm like, oh my God, I'm growing up. And for those of you watching, it doesn't have to always be like, I do believe that when you pay for something, you take it seriously. So a big chunk of it should be paid. But even if it's a passive followership where you're actively following this person and you're learning from them when it comes to marriage, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to just being a better person, a better speaker. I mean, it's a game changer. It's
Mhm.
I mean, game changer. So yes, I definitely encourage it. I'm glad I get to do it with these powerful women and others too, in the group. So yay, mentorship. I don't know if that.
Yay.
I wanted to chime in a little bit, if you will allow me.
Yes, yes.
Dr. Tolu said, to have mentorship in different areas of life. And I was thinking that's very valuable. For example, say we go to church, we have a spiritual mentor,
Mhm.
or when we don't go to school, it's like your educational mentor or whatever field, say it's finances or things. That's very important. But I think that as people, we tend to value one-on-one coaches or mentors more than groups. But
Mhm.
in this setting, I found that to not completely be true, because yes, on a one-on-one you can learn, but in a group setting you can learn as well. And I've learned so much, say in EBS, which we are groups, is the EntreMD business school that we call in short EBS. I've learned by just sitting there and listening to stories of other doctors. So I come in and I'm thinking that, I what bewitched me to actually open practice, going into all these difficulties or challenges. But then you go in a group of people like-minded, people who have also are also entrepreneur and in the health sector in medicine, and you're like they are also having challenges. And when you listen in and you see how they have overcome, say, oh well, if she's gone through, if Dr. Tolu has gone through it, then I believe I can do it. If Dr. Majed has gone through it and she still wears this beautiful smile and inspire joy, then that means that I can also do it and do it with joy. So this has made me value not only one-on-one coaching, but even coaching in a group setting. So that's not to be downplayed.
Thank you for sharing that, because it is different, and you do, yeah, it's different, but there's even more, right? So it's 10x. It's 10x the one.
Yeah.
or however many people they are, you can learn from. So
She got the book. I saw the TEDx in the background. I was like,
That
girl,
is
girl.
not just right here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like what would you all say? Well, one of you would say like your biggest fear or challenge that you faced in this entrepreneurial journey so far.
Mm.
I'll say mine. I'll say mine.
Okay, go ahead.
I asked and so for me, it's the visibility aspect of it.
Mhm.
Putting myself out there because my biggest fear is the fear of being seen, right? For me personally, it's like that fear of being seen, and
Mhm.
also the fear of success. Like, what if I'm very successful? Then people are gonna find the skeletons in my closet. Not that I do not have any skeletons in my closet, but but they may nitpick and find things that may fall apart, right? Because
Mhm.
I've had that fear since I was a kid. I was like, well, I can't run for president because I wasn't born in the States, even though I'm American. So
Mhm.
I was not born in the States. So there was a rule that you have to be born in the States, even though your parent is American. So I had that fear. Well, at least if I can't run for president, so that means that no one's going to find out any dirty things about me. And I've thought that ever since I was little, for some reason. Not that I've done it. So not that I've done anything wrong, but I've lived my life as if I were running for president, right? Because I don't want anything. I don't want anything to come out. So that fear of being seen,
Mhm.
that's a big fear of mine. But I was able to overcome it because I see you all doing it, and you can
Mhm.
do it in a professional way. It's not that you're going on, you know, going live and doing things that are unprofessional. Not that any of us would do that anyway, but
Mhm.
that is still it's an unrational fear, right? Because fear is unrational. It's
Mhm.
false evidence appearing real, but just pushing back past that fear of being seen, and then also the fear of success, right? So if you're
Mhm.
very successful, you just fear of being hyper criticized, or that if you are successful there's a down, right? So
Right.
that was my fear. It's like if you're very successful, you're not gonna it doesn't keep going up, it's gonna come down.
Absolutely.
And that's also a fear, it's not necessarily true. So those are
Mhm.
my biggest fears in this journey.
Those are good insights. And I think that I'll tell you mine, but what you mentioned were some of them were the fear of being seen was my initial fear in starting
Mhm.
out in entrepreneurship, because one, I'm a private person. I was completely like wiped out from the internet, like, like, I mean, literally, deleteme.com or .org, like I literally deleted everything of myself prior to embarking on this journey. And then once I started on this journey, I eventually got over that fear because I knew that there was something that I had to say that was important. And then once I got over that fear, the fear of success, which you're talking about, that is one of those fears that I am still working on. And it's in relation to family, in that I want to what we would say have it all, which is what our motto part of it in EBS, the dream business and the dream life. That for me is all, right? It encompasses both parts of what I'm looking for in life. And so having it in an unequal, unbalanced proportion where I have kids who are growing up. So my sons now, I can't believe they're now 6 and 8. So we started this journey. They're 1 and 3, 1.5 going 2 and 3. And being able to be there for them during the pivotal times, that's what is very important. And as we go on this journey, and there are changes that happen during um, changes for your time management, learning to be
Mm.
able to be there effectively for your business and for your family. That's where the challenge comes in. Like, how do I turn one off when I turn one on? Or do I give each 50-50, or is it a 70-30? Like, how do I equate that balance? So in one setting, I have realized that there are times when I might have to turn the volume down on one part. So, for example, for the business, I might not be able to do all five big things that I want to get done
Mm.
that day, because my family life will not, like, I would not be able to do some of the important things that I want to do with the family that day. But as we say, 1% a day is still, you're still making moves within the business. So I had to come to that realization that, yeah, you are a go-getter. Like we said, we all are. That's why we've gotten this far in life. No matter how shy we might be on the outside, on the inside, we're all like, we're very, very determined, and we're headstrong, and we tell ourselves, I know I can get this done. I'm gonna figure it out. And so because of that, I want to ensure, and I have to tell myself that I'm not failing on one part because I'm putting energy into the other part. I might have to deal with that harmony, and where I might not be able to put as much, but as long as I'm giving myself 1% in that business that day, which that 1% might look like I send out a DM. It might look like I call a referral source. It might look like I connect with someone on LinkedIn. The 1% might be like, well, the only thing I could do that day was do my podcast. But I can still give time to my sons and my family. My parents, they've been able to retire, and they live close to me here. There's a reason they came down. I mean, I want to think it's me. I do know it's because of my kids.
Yes,
I
yes.
just hope no one it's not. But at the same time, it's important for me to build memories with my parents, right? Because so many of us, we're at that point where our parents are not here with us any longer. Some of our parents, we're losing our parents. So it's important for me to build memories with them while I'm still building this successful business. And so I keep those things in the forefront and figure out how to make that happen so that I don't sabotage myself in the process.
Yeah, that's so important. Building that ideal dream life and the dream business, hand
Mhm.
in hand, so that you're not, you can, and realizing that you can be successful in your business and be successful with your family. It's not a, I think a lot of us have this either or mentality for lots of
Mhm,
things. And I know for a lot of my life, I went through having that, it's either all right or wrong, right? Because you're graded, it's either
mhm.
right or wrong, but there's a lot of gradient, there's a lot of in between, right? So there's a
Absolutely.
lot of people who, there's an and, it doesn't have to be an or, it can be I'm successful at and I'm successful in my business, and I'm present for my family. It doesn't have to be or, but
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So
Can I add something real quick about the fear?
Mhm,
Because I resonate with what Dr. Tamara said. But one of the things that still is a challenge sometimes is the fear of what it costs, right?
mhm,
It cost.
Of what it costs. The truth that it is going to cost, like it's going to cost. There's a price for it. Um,
mhm.
I'm understanding as we go through this journey, you realize it's worth the price. You know,
Mm.
you want to make sure you're paying the right price. So not sacrificing with my family. Like for instance, I don't watch TV. Not worth it anymore. Now books I'll read, or I don't. I have to batch things now. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a price to it. It was a big fear before, but I'm seeing the price, and I'm negotiating sometimes. Pulling back
Mhm.
forward. But it costs what it costs. There's nothing that you can't tell me it's not going to cost something, but it's just the wisdom to know what the right price is per season. And I think that's the challenge of balance.
mhm.
But we're
Absolutely.
working through it. We're working through it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting a lot of comments in the chat. So what we've been saying, what you all have been saying, has been resonating with a lot of people in the chat. Thank you for all of your comments. Please write your questions and comments. It's a pleasure to have all of you watching live, and please share this video, the replay, and share with friends or fellow entrepreneurs or people who are even considering entrepreneurship, because it's not just about business per se. You may be in the entrepreneurship stage where you are currently employed, but you're interested in starting your own business, or the mindset, you're interested in changing your mindset so that you can see the possibilities of what may be with starting your own business, where you may do that in the future, but not currently active in creating that business. So it's a process, because entrepreneurship, it's life in a way, right? It's pushing, what we've described is kind of just pushing yourself to a different level, right? Pushing yourself to a different level, pushing past fears, pushing past, yeah, pushing past fears and being persistent in ways so that you can create the life that you want, versus just taking what you're given in a different way, or being unemployed and having to follow certain rules or steps, right? You can create it in a life that you want when you're an entrepreneur. So it's not just for if you already have a business, but if you're even thinking about having a business in the future, because it's a change in mindset altogether. And I relate to that because I started my entrepreneurship journey before I had a business, and learning from you all who have already been full throttle in your entrepreneurship journey, have had businesses for many years. I was just getting started with my business when I started the business, when I joined the business school, and it helped me kind of uh, think about and gain clarity as to what I want my business to be, what I want that purpose for myself to be in general too. Because part of it is, what do I want my purpose in life to be, like overall? I mean, I of course I'm a physician. We're all healers in different way. We're healers, but I also want to spread this message of embracing joy for people, and being with you all and seeing your journeys and listening to your podcast, Dr. Tamara, or joining, doing an interview with Dr. Tolu. A few years ago, one of my first interviews on a live was with Dr. Tolu. And we also, so those experiences helped me to clarify and to streamline what I want my entrepreneurship journey to be. So, just reading the book is good for anyone, even if you're not there yet. So I just wanted to share that perspective.
Thank you for doing this, Dr. Makta.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate you, and your messaging
Absolutely.
resonates with you, the joy. So thank you for
Yeah.
having us.
Thank
She's
you.
Dr. Joy.
All right. So we will ask, yeah, thank you, everybody. All of you have been remarkable in my journey, and just seeing you, all of your journeys, and of course the other people that we know are on this journey, that have just been so inspiring. So let's talk about, we talked about so many things, but let's talk about how other physicians can, do you have any advice for other physicians or doctors so that they can find that courage to step into entrepreneurship? Or advice for, maybe advice for yourself before you took the leap? Like, something that you should have taken it sooner, like, well, let's take this sooner somehow.
Absolutely. I believe that as physicians, we are mostly risk averse. And with that being said, before we embark on something such as beautiful of a journey that has that is very fluid, such as entrepreneurship, we usually want to make sure that all our ducks are in a row
That's
and
right.
that everything is where it should be. It's we probably be I'll liken it to, as physicians, we probably think that the journey of entrepreneurship is similar to like when you're about to do your procedure. So do you have all of your supplies? Do you have everything right at your bedside so you'll never have to go, and is it all there within arm's reach?
Mhm.
And the journey is not like that. And therefore, because of the certainty within entrepreneurship is the beauty of a lot of uncertainty, because the version of you that starts will not be the version of you within a few months, within a few years. But we always feel that we need to be the version that will be at our defined end before we start, and that prevents a lot of us from starting. And with that in mind, I'll tell any entrepreneur who's listening, anyone who's thinking about entrepreneurship, anyone that has an inkling, and you know who you are, because there's this yearning that you have within yourself. You toss and turn in the evening. You go home with these great ideas that your significant other is probably like, okay, oh, you have another one? Oh, okay. Okay. So if you are that person, that means that you should take that faith and leap and try it out. The worst that can happen is that, like we said, we always, like in part of EBS, we're always thinking about our 90-year-old selves at that 90-year-old birthday party, is that you took this leap of faith on something that you created, something that's in
Mhm.
your mind that you believe that could help either mankind or help to solve a problem that you see within this world. You took this chance upon yourself to get it done. If it doesn't work out, you did it. You still took the chance. You no longer have to sit and wonder, what if? And the beauty about it is, more than likely, probably will work out if you give yourself enough time, if you surround yourself with the right people, if you surround yourself with others who are encouragers, who are also creative people, as Dr. Tolu and Dr. Valerie also mentioned, mentors who can shorten that distance. You don't believe that you have to do everything on your own. You don't have to do every part on your own.
Mhm.
Once you put yourself in the right environment, then you are destined for success. So give your significant other the ability to say, go ahead and get it done. Go ahead and do it. And there, believe it, especially if you're a physician entrepreneur who will probably read this book, there are other physicians out there rooting for you. Do not believe that you will be on this journey by yourself. They're out there rooting for you, and we want to see you succeed. So reach out to us. Reach out to us and take that chance upon yourself with the journey and the dream that you have in your mind.
And I was gonna hop on that to say, just because you're a physician or you're a dentist or whichever kind of, field that you find yourself in, does not mean that because you're a family physician, your entrepreneurship journey has to be about that. You can choose to do whatever you want. Some people decide to be coaches for mothers, or some people decide to be coaches for children, or some people decide to just, do their venture into their entrepreneurship journey into maybe like creating parties and just, it's whatever you really want. For example, Dr. Beckford, what she does, one of the many things that she does is talking to not only physicians about burnout. It is such a thing, especially for, people who have so much on their plates. When you see, for example, Dr. Majette, she has a podcast where she's talking about joy and spreading joy to anyone, so me, for example, my what I'm doing is about dentistry, which I'm a dentist, but I'm also starting a podcast where we collecting, it's about gratitude, the science of gratitude, where we're just sharing stories of the struggles and how God allowed you to overcome that. And I've seen even some people who were training people for running to run marathons and such. So, there's no, as Dr. Beckford was saying, there's no box, as far as, okay, because I'm a physician, it has to be patient care. Not necessarily. It can be whatever you want. And something else that I was going to say, we suffer, like I thought I was the only one, but we have that fear of not being relevant. We know that we're relevant in the clinical setting, but when it comes to visibility, which is a big, big, big piece as far as entrepreneurship, I'm like, I don't have anything to say. But you're saying the same thing every day to the patients all the time. So it's like that imposter syndrome. You have to just, you know, choke it and say, no, just go. And how Dr. Tolu was saying, you're fearful, but just go in spite of the fear. Just go.
Whew. It's a hard act to follow. What to do? What do you want? Life is a gift, so squeeze all the juice out of it. How do you want to live the world? Is there a burning dream in your heart, a purpose that yearns? There's something more. Then do it. But get in the right environment, the right womb to grow that dream, to nurture that dream, to see other people doing. Man, there's some crazy stuff physicians are doing. There's a doctor who actually, she paints six figures. She paints, and I got one of her paintings, and it's beautiful, and it's based on the musculature, right? Muscles and bones. So the world is your paint. I don't know. It's your
Canvas.
canvas. It's a thing. It's not just a cliche. Like, what do you want? So if there's something on your heart, there's a burden in your heart, an entrepreneurial juice somewhere that's, yearning to find full expression, then let it. Life is too precious to waste second guessing, but get in the right rooms, because that's very important to nurturing that dream and bringing it to life. And it's going to cost. I want to be clear. It's going to cost you, but it costs either way. Doing it or not, you pick your heart.
That's
Right. Right. That's so important that, we pick, right? So, we have to, the pain of exercise versus the pain of sitting still and gaining weight. And, we got to pick. We got with the same, with everything in life, we have to pick, right? We have to pick our heart, pick which one, pick that challenge. And we rather have the challenge that has more fruit, right? So that this has a much better outcome. Like, what if I'm successful in this? What if it works? What if it works? Versus that regret. And definitely getting in that right room and being surrounded with people who are on a similar journey, though different. Everybody's on a different journey. Everybody has their own journey, but you can learn from everybody's journey as long as they're moving in that direction of creating their own business in different ways, right? So let's we're gonna wrap it up. So with the final wrap up, this is such a great discussion with everyone. The book details not just our stories, but it's 17 physicians' stories, their entrepreneurship journey. So you'll learn from all of them. Of course, it's a short chapter, but you can delve into their story. And then once you've read their story, you can, of course, follow the physicians and learn more about their journey, because they're all unique. So the 17 unique physician journeys, physician doctors, and they're compiled by Dr. Una. And the book is coming out on March 18th.
Yay.
You all have to, very important that you buy the book on March 18th.
Mhm.
Share, mark your calendar, share it with a friend, buy a copy for a relative, buy a copy for that friend that always has business ideas and she just needs a nudge, or that, or he may need a nudge, like, hey, you've been talking about business ideas all the time. Maybe you should buy that book for that friend that's thinking of this, just so that
Mhm.
they know that they can do it. Sometimes just knowing that someone else has done it helps you do it. I know that helped me a lot with becoming a physician. When I met someone that looked like me that was doing it, I'm like, well, what reason do I have not to do it? There's none, right? So
Yes.
you can do this too. So please share the book. Mark your calendar, March 18th.
Mhm.
And it's a wealth, because who would talk to? How do you get to talk to 17 physicians and learn about their entrepreneurship journey? Right? That's rare.
Absolutely.
I don't think I've ever, done that other than within a container, which of course has a cost. This is
Mhm.
a very marginal cost for learning the stories of 17 different physicians. Or if you have someone that's interested in a med student, or interested in going into the students, or that may be interested in a medical career or in an entrepreneurial career, this is a great book for them as well. So this is a great book for everyone. So make sure you mark your calendar, get your copy on March 18th, and share it with a friend. So not just your copy, get your copy and the copy for a friend as well. All right. And then with that being said, I think there's a Kindle version, which I think is going to be, I think it's pretty reasonable. I forgot how much it's going to be, but a few dollars. And
Yeah.
then the live version is $15.99, like the hard copy, the paper
Yeah.
copy.
Let's go to
But
back.
the
Mhm.
electronic version is pretty cheap. So either version, but make sure you get a copy. And
Mhm.
it's a wealth of knowledge there. We've all showed a little bit of a brief snippet of what our chapter is about, but there's 17 chapters, and you'll learn from each of the doctors. All right. Okay. With that being said, any closing statements from anybody?
Um, I yes, I think that we should really encourage those who are out there. Remember that you're seeing all of us here, and in some respects, it might seem like, wow, how did they get there? We all got there by starting off from where you are. So there's a process, but the first process is the decision that you want something different, and then the second part is that taking the action to get it done. So we look forward to seeing you guys on your journey, and we look forward to hearing from you when you read our chapters. Get in contact with us and let us know how it inspired you.
That's all. So thank you, everybody. Dr. Tolu, Dr. Valerie, if you want to add any other statements, or
I,
Go
I,
get them. Go get them.
go
Go
get
rock
them.
and roll.
Well, just thank you, everybody, for joining in, and for being so interactive, and providing comments throughout the live. Please make sure you get the
Mhm.
book for yourself or a friend. I think this is just such an important time for people
Mhm.
to read this book as well, and to hear our stories, and to be persevere, because this perseverance or is important, and embracing that joy is important regardless of what is going on in society, because there will always be difficult times, there will always be
Mhm.
challenging times, but how do you grow, and how do you adapt to it, and how do what are you going to do for yourself? So this is something I think is very important for people. So make sure you get the book. We're not sure the exact price, but it's around between $15 and $18.
think
But
it's
Mhm.
it's going to come out.
15.99.
It's 18.
15.99.
Yeah, I thought it was $15.99. You did it up. Maybe that's with tax. Maybe that's with tax.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be released March 18th. It's $15.99. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, make sure you share this episode with a friend, and get the book when it comes out. Look out for it on Amazon. It's called Made for More 2. Made for More 2. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great
Right.
night. Take care.
Bye.